Hey guys, welcome back. It's Maverick here today with another episode of Ya Boy Kongming. So, I'm watching this directly off the back of episode 4 because, like I said, I do want to catch up to the latest episode as soon as possible. And I feel like I'm left a little bit unsatisfied by last episode, right? We did a lot of talking, and Kongming left us in the dark on a lot of things. So, just like Aiko is getting a little bit annoyed by this, I'm a little bit annoyed by this as well. But in any case, at the end of last episode, we did see Aiko show her original song, so I'm excited to see what's gonna continue with that. And of course, this rapper dude that Kongming supposedly is seeking out. Well, let's see if it turns up into anything fruitful in this episode. So let's get right into it. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Right, again, this is the myth that he visited him 3 times in order to recruit him. Again, Kongming at that time was known locally to be like this great scholar, but relatively unproven, right? And he was actually quite old at that time already, like in his 30s or 40s. Now, whether or not Liu Bei actually visited him 3 times, whether it was 3 times specifically, that is to be debated. But what is known is that Kongming was already well known locally at that time for being a learned scholar, and Liu Bei did actively set out to recruit him. I want to know as well. It seems that they are actually having this recap like at the beginning of every episode. But you know what? I don't care. Like I can vibe to this song. And to be honest, the choreography to this song isn't exactly what I would have expected from it. I would have expected the moves to be maybe a little bit faster. I did see some covers actually on YouTube of people dancing to this already. like that dance move right there. If it would have like sped up to like twice as fast, I think it would have worked a little bit better. But what do I know? I'm not a dancer. Jam jam chicky chicky bam bam. This song is such a bop. There's just something about that retro funk, man. That retro disco stuff. Rap, eh? I wonder what kind of rap they're gonna go for. If we are talking about like more of a modern vibe kind of thing, trap rap, rapping with a trap beat is very hot right now. Even though that's not exactly my kind of preferred genre. I like old school beats a bit more, but is that supposed to be like a reference to Xu Chu? Yeah, do tell. Do tell. Kongming busts a rhyme? Okay. Is Kongming going to rap here? I've talked about this in other anime as well, but it's really interesting for to listen to rap in Japanese because the language itself really conduces itself to rapping because basically all the there's all the words and then vowels, right? I will. So it's relatively easy to get stuff to rhyme. So the flow and sort of like the flow of the words plays a larger role, and the actual like wordplay. That's it. So what? So you're just like shy, and then when you get up on stage, you change. Yeah, dale. Because his name is Kabe. So wall. Okay. But channel title. That I'm just trying to listen. I'm just trying to listen to their rhymes here. So you just can't stand crowds? That's basically it? That's how you got a stomach ulcer? Let me guess, Kongming is just like sitting there or something? No. No. I guess he isn't even. Well, this guy is certainly persistent. What, the pressure of expectations? Oh, okay. Okay. I like this storyline a little bit more. Rather than like someone who's afraid of crowds or whatnot. The pressure of an artist. Look at that. The jacket he's wearing is worshipping Guan Yu. Oh, you're just gonna be. Yeah, shit ton of trouble, dude. Wow. Coming in a swag. Coming in a jumps. He's reading. See, the kanji for that is records of the three kingdoms. So again, like those three kanji, they should represent the actual historical records of the three kingdoms, which is based on history, not fiction. Whereas the Romance of the Three Kingdoms is the fictional novel based on history. So he's reading Flow and that guy's reading Three Kingdoms. But apparently in Japan, they actually translate they actually call Romance of the Three Kingdoms as Records of Three Kingdoms. So that gets like super confusing. And to be honest, it's really annoying. Is this... Oh. I think this is 江公钓鱼. Yeah, 姜太公钓鱼. Again, more of like myth. But since that happened like a long time ago, that was like in the BC era, so who knows, right? No actual historical records of that time, or reliable historical records of that time. Like this. Oh, okay. So that's the the Kent. Okay. 这个叫啊，赤兔，赤兔吗？Okay, okay. I don't know the kanji for that. I mean, I didn't know that that represents that kanji. I see. I see now. It's not like he can leave, right? He has to wait for his laundry. I do like, even though this is like just like the anime, it's kind of crack, but I do feel like I like that sort of mix. That mix of traditional music with a hip hop beat. Grant you one wish. This dude. Uh... Yeah, gotta give props to Kongming, right? Like, he's still stubborn enough to wear his clothes, even though he can clearly wear other clothes as well. I'm actually kind of wondering. I recall a certain story during the Three Kingdoms about that, how long do you plan to continue slumbering? I'm wondering if that's actually a reference. I can't quite remember, but I kind of feel like there was a story like that. Also, basically recruiting someone. Was it by Kongming though? Well, he's Kongming. You can't argue with him. Oh, you just got hooked, dude. Okay, I just want to quickly look at the let me just quickly look at the credits. Yep. Shituma. That other rapper. Okay. So yeah, that was a reference to the legendary Steed. That's funny. Alright. I know that some people have said that the ending changes, but I'll just watch out myself and see you guys after this. Alright, so we have now revealed this guy that Kongming is so intent on recruiting Kabi Taijin, and it's kind of like a weird start here, but thankfully the way that they created his backstory and his circumstances went a lot better than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be another one of those, oh, he has this he has this fright of people and whatnot, and then somehow has to overcome that fear or whatnot. It wouldn't really exactly be my favorite kind of a situation or of a circumstance, right? It just doesn't really hit me in terms of the entertainment factor. But for this one, I actually appreciate this a lot more, right? So instead of being, because originally with him being all meek and timid and stuff, I thought that he had like difficulty speaking to people and whatnot, and rap was supposed to be his like outlet or whatnot. But he was living, he can do it in imaginary in his head, but he has trouble translating it into the real world. I thought it was gonna go that kind of route. I'm so thankful that they did not do that. This version here to me honestly is a lot more interesting, which is more so the unable to withstand the pressure of staying on top and living to people's expectations, right? Because as we can see, he even though he has a natural talent for it, in order to stay at the top, he has to apply himself a lot, right? And so the pressure gradually becomes overbearing. This is more of a, and this is more of a thing that's more common in like sports and whatnot. Those that stay at the top must constantly be fighting to fight away those that are trying to dethrone you and whatnot. It didn't really give up. He didn't really give up this kind of vibe from the very beginning. But I am glad that they went for more for this kind of story, because I'm more interested to see how this plays out. And I think this has more relation to actually becoming an artist and then producing music and all that sort, right? There's a bigger greater chance of having something develop from something like this rather than the situation which I was talking about earlier. So I do like this sort of backstory for him. So good on them. I'm interested to see how they eventually turn around and make him believe in music again. And if I were to venture a guess, I would say probably just having fun, and because he's just a rapper to sort of like fill in or to complement Aiko's singing, right? So the spotlight isn't necessarily going to be on him, the pressure's not going to be on him, so he can just freely do his thing without the expectations of always be winning or staying at the top or stuff like that. So he's able to fully utilize his genius, his natural talent, and his enthusiasm for rap, because we know that he not only has a talent for it, but he clearly also loves it, right? We see all those old school CDs that he has, all those old school records that he has in his home, and how he's constantly still thinking of different rhymes, different phrases and whatnot, constantly wordsmithing. So we know that he has this sort of passion for it, and teaming up with someone else relieves the pressure from him and allows him to really fully pursue his passion, right? So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, which we'll probably see in the next episode. We'll see about that then. The second thing I want to talk about is the references in this episode, I guess. So one obvious one, which to be honest, I did not catch immediately, is that Sekitoba guy, right? Sekitoba Kung Fu, the sort of like big arch rival of Kabetajin, I guess. So Sekitoba, apparently that is the Japanese pronunciation of the I guess the literal translation would be like the red rabbit horse, red rabbit mare or something like that. I'm not sure how the official translation is in English, right? Basically this legendary horse that existed in Three Kingdoms period, which is there's actually a saying during the Three Kingdoms period that amongst humans, amongst people, warriors, you have Rubu, right? Rubu, which is touted by many to be the strongest warrior during the Three Kingdoms period. And then in parallel to Rubu would be this Sekitoba, right? This Tsutuma, which is basically the best horse out of the most legendary horse out of the entire period in the entire world or something like that. And for a time, Rubu was actually the owner of this horse, and he went into battle using this horse and whatnot. And then eventually, once Rubu was defeated and whatnot, he was this horse was passed down from I believe it went from Dongzhuo to Cao Cao, and then eventually Cao Cao gave it to Guan Yu. So then for some reason, like this horse is associated a lot with Guan Yu instead, which I've mentioned my feelings about Guan Yu before, but anyways, that's kind of beside the point. And if you look closely at Sekitoba's character design, the jacket that he's wearing is actually an homage to Guan Yu, right? I think I've mentioned before that Guan Yu is actually a symbol of worship in some like more some more local traditions and local kind of religions. They consider him to be like a god of war or something, and also a lot of organized crime, like in Asia, in China and whatnot. They also say their oaths, say their vows in front of Guangong, which is Guan Yu, the sort of like deity personification of Guan Yu. So that just goes to show like how big this guy is in local folklore and culture. A little bit unjustified if you ask me, according to history, but who am I to argue with religion, right? So yeah, so anyways, to wrap back to the story, anyway, Sekitoba is wearing a jacket that is worshipping Guan Yu there, so that makes another sort of reference here, right? Sekitoba, Guan Yu, and the entire spiel. But anyway, so that was a reference here. A second reference, this one was a little bit more obscure, was the part where Kongming and Kabetajin were in the laundromat and talking, or I guess sort of chant rapping, if you will. And so when Kongming was rapping his verse, first of all, musically, I'm kind of meh on it. I felt like it was musically interesting in terms of the instrument of choice and whatnot, but the actual rap, it's or if you could call it rap, both in terms of the flow, the rhythm, the word choice, I was more like meh on. And so not exactly the hugest fan. I'm sure that he'll do much better in the next episode when they actually do duke it out on stage. But it kind of, the words or the things that he was describing, that he was singing or rapping, if you will, kind of hit a resonance with me, but I wasn't entirely sure what exactly he was mentioning. I wasn't quite sure of that specific reference. You guys gotta understand, right? I'm literally like, it's being spoken in Japanese and then translated from Japanese into English, and then I gotta translate that from English back to Chinese again to see like what exactly they are referring to, because some of the stuff, there's a lot of like idioms or phrases within Chinese that you really have to have like the exact characters and the exact words, otherwise it doesn't really make sense. So it's really hard to do all this like freeway translation at once, and there are some things that are lost in translation, right? Like for instance, something that's mentioned in Japanese might be mistranslated into English, and then the entire thing falls apart. But anyways, so it seemed like, especially when he was talking about the slumbering part, I felt like there was a story reference there. But after watching it through again, I believe he's actually referring to himself at that point, right? Because he mentions Nanyang. Nanyang is where Kongming was supposedly, being a hermit, living away, doing his studies in peace, whilst he was he was basically like I said before, right? Before Liu Bei found him, he was known locally to be a smart guy, to be a scholar and whatnot, but he was basically just off, having his own little house, planting his own crops and whatnot, and living a self-sustaining life, and doing his own studies by his lonesome, right? And then, according to legend, Liu Bei went to him 3 times, and then the first 2 times he did not meet him. The third time he finally met him and was able to convince through his sincerity to Kongming to ask Kongming to work for him and become his retainer. That so that entire part, anyways, if we are continuing on legend, so the legend goes that the third time when Liu Bei went to seek out Kongming and then he finally found him, apparently Kongming was actually asleep, right, taking a nap after, I think it was like after lunch or something. So he was taking a nap, and then Liu Bei waited patiently for him to wake up and then start talking. So when they're talking about slumbering there, I guess it could be interpreted into 2 ways. One, as in, slumbering as in him living this sort of reclusive life, staying away from political affairs, staying away from the how can I say, the stuff from the mortal realm, if you will, and basically just going off and doing his own kind of thing, and basically staying up in the mountains, in the villages and whatnot, and not really paying attention to anything happening in the real world, right? So you could argue that the slumbering might be a reference to that, or the slumbering might be a direct reference to how he was actually sleeping when Liu Bei finally was able to meet him for the first time. So I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. If it is another reference, or you guys have some other ideas, do let me know. I know some people who are also big in Three Kingdoms lore and stuff are also watching this as well. So correct me if I'm kind of wrong, but I do believe that reference there is actually talking about himself, and then extrapolating that and drawing a parallel to Kapitaijin as well, saying that, hey, you have this talent here, it's being unused, it's being laid dormant, you should you should be able to apply your talent for the greater good, for the world, or for a greater cause, something of that sort. So I believe that's what they're going for there. And yeah, I believe those are the references that were made in this episode. Let me see. Is there anything else? Oh, I guess they also they also made a reference to the sort of this Wang Taigong guy. It should be Jiang Taigong. I feel Wang. Is that a mistranslation? I'm honestly not as familiar with that part of history as I am with the Three Kingdoms period, so I don't really want to go too much into it and mislead people. But I do believe that is the famous myth of how the emperor at that time managed to get himself like a very, very good retainer, similar to how Liu Bei eventually got Kongming, kind of similar in a way. right? Yeah, I do believe that is the story of Jiang Taigong. I don't know like why they call it Wang Taigong, but oh well, that's it's not important. Like again, that is also kind of half myth in a way, because that was happening in a period where there wasn't really this tradition of leaving written history, if you will. So whether that's true or not, that is debatable, but it is a commonly passed down story in Japanese lore as well. And for people who study history, like learned scholars like Kongming, they would have to study this, because that's also part of the, I don't know, it's just part of the history, part of the studies that they all need to know, right? And Chinese are like the ancient Chinese education is is very focused on making references to even more ancient periods and whatnot. So just that's just how it is. So we got that out of the way. Let me see, is there anything else I want to talk about here? I think that's basically about it. So yeah, I guess we just wait for next episode and see like how exactly. Hopefully they can give us some good beats, and give us some nice rapping and whatnot. Once again, looking for the flow, looking for the wordplay. There was one wordplay here that I guess it was kind of obvious, but I did find a bit of a kick when they mention it, and that is the kabe with the wall, right? So I believe there was a verse in this one where Sekitoba was, he was talking to Kabe Taijin, but using rap to express his words, express his feelings, right? Kind of like talking rap and whatnot. And so there was a line, I believe, talking about like him hitting a wall. Kabe, Kabe is his name, so wall, wall in Japanese is kabe, so kind of like wall, kabe. You guys know what I mean. so that was but I feel like that one was kind of obvious. That was like walking right into it. But if he did think of that on the spot in real life, though, I would have to give him props for that one. All right, yeah, I think that's basically it for this one. So again, next episode, looking forward to the rap, looking forward to the flow, the puns, the wordplay, the rhythm of everything. Looking forward to seeing Kongming show his true chops, as well as Kabataijin. And hey, apparently we're gonna hear Aiko Sina again. So should be a fun episode next, and I hopefully will see you guys next time in the not too far future. Until then, stay tuned guys, bye bye.